Good afternoon. I'm Ethan Roy here with Coach B as part of the 14th episode of Coach B Weekly. Now, Coach B, on Friday we have the RMU Athletics Hall of Fame dinner, and there's two players from the women's basketball program going in, Betsy Puskar and then also Shanita Nesbitt. Now, Shanita Nesbitt was a player for the Colonials that played while you and Coach Sauer both here in the early or in the mid 2000s, and she was really one of the players that kind of helped RMU become a top tier program in this conference. Do you have our first question here? Do you have a good story or just a good story about her and what she did for the program here?
Oh, Shanita was full of stories. There was a lot of stories with Shanita. First of all, she was a very unique player where she could play the point guard at 6'2".
Yeah.
She was like that point forward that they use in the NBA sometimes, like a Magic Johnson.
Yeah, or now the Greek Freak.
Yeah, right. Someone that could really handle the ball with size, and that's what Shanita really was unique for.
Yeah.
But she, physical strength she was very physically strong, and she had a great sense for the game.
Yeah.
I remember watching her play, when she was in high school and seeing such raw potential. She had some things that you looked at and you said, oh, she could be good if she developed this or if she developed that. And then as she got through her career and was ready to go off to college, she developed some real great ability to handle the ball and to really pass the ball. That was probably one of the biggest things about her. I could really remember with Shanita, one of the most unique stories about her is that she had her first season with us and had that big breakthrough where we went to the NCAA tournament at that time. And I just remember during that season, the triple doubles.
Yeah.
That's something at college
I believe
level.
she's the only one in program history. I could be wrong. That is,
Is
gotten
she?
a triple double here.
She was the only one.
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah, you might be right about that because I've never heard anything more. But yeah, she actually had two in a 3-game span or something like that. So it was like not only did she have a triple double, but she had two in 3
real
games.
Quick. If she didn't win NEC Player of the Week that week, I don't know.
Yeah, well, that was one of the big things that we were implementing into the culture of the program was, that we were very big on not, concerning ourselves with the awards and all that because, what she did, numbers-wise was, really over the top in a lot of games. And if she really got caught up in wanting that fame and attention, it could really screw her up from, for what she was going towards, which was, doing something historical and get to the NCAA tournament, which she was a big part of.
Yeah,
so
she was able to, had back-to-back appearances in 07 and 08, and she was the NEC tournament MVP in both of those years. So one of two players to do that along with Anna Nicky.
Yeah, no question. Shanita was involved in that breakthrough. Yeah. And, there was other players in those teams.
Last year we talked about Sahadi Monzak whenever she was here for the Ring of Honor ceremony, and another player that, helped just elevate the program to what it is today. Yeah,
we had some great pieces on that team with Shanita, Sashi Butler, Princess Alston, Kenza Williams. Yeah. There was some great pieces that were alongside, and we had that breakthrough, and I would say that would be probably the biggest story for Shanita is I remember her getting those triple doubles and just remembering how well she played the game at such a big size, being a point forward type of player. I mean, there was times where she would grab rebounds and just go coast to coast, just go, and nobody would stop her. And if they tried to stop her, she would hit them with some type of trickery at the top of the key and in and out, or crossover or something, get to the rim, and she touched the backboard with one hand when she laid the ball up. This is stuff in women's basketball you don't see very often, and it's what she was. She was like such a unique, and she had a lot of God-given ability, and the biggest job that we had, as a coaching staff was to continue to help her grow and to not settle for the things that she was being able to do at that time, but only to develop and get better. Right. And that's what we were most proud of with her is developing, the culture in her to continue to try to get a little bit better every day. And at the end, like you said, after 2 years of being at Robert Morris, she had 2 years of going to the NCAA tournament, 2 years of being the tournament MVP, and just a great experience.
Yeah, and now she's going into the RMU Athletics Hall of Fame. So,
oh, for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, she had a little time in the WNBA for a little bit with the Atlanta Dream, and she went overseas and played some. And you know, going on from RMU, you know, she's had such a historic career of doing so much when she was here for the time, and then having professional experience, and then also now being into your Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
I mean, when you're a Division I basketball player on the women's side, that's a really great timeline to have.
That's a loaded experience really there.
Yeah, for sure.
Now to go back to present day, Colonials played here at home this past weekend, had picked up another pair of victories. Start with Saturday as a rematch of the 2017 NEC title game when you defeated Bryant 72-49. In that game, you forced 30 turnovers, and really in the last home regular season meeting, you forced 29 against them. Was there anything different in the defensive game plan going into that? Trying to be a little bit more aggressive. Maybe they were a little more careless with the ball that you saw on tape, or what? Was there anything different there?
I give our student athletes a lot of credit for forcing those turnovers. A few of them, I'm sure, Bryant probably wanted back and thought that that they were unforced or whatever. But I give us a lot of credit for paying attention to the detail in the scout and the challenges that we put in place for them to execute defensively that would disrupt what they were trying to do.
Right.
I thought our team did a good job of that. I thought that had a lot to do with the turnovers. When you go out there and you play with a lot of heart and a lot of passion, and you couple that with intelligence and communication, when you focus on those things and you come out and you're willing to push through the tough times to do those, that's when those turnovers come. So great job of paying attention to detail in the scout. We had our mistakes, a few here and there, but you could see that there was a 40-minute mentality there of serving each other throughout the game, especially defensively, and it was good to see. It was a good brick on the foundation for us, that Bryant game with the defensive effort. Yeah,
absolutely. And then last night defeated Central Connecticut 66-47 to complete a perfect January. The first time the program has gone undefeated over an entire month since February 2010. So again, we're going throwbacks here. But what does that accomplishment mean going over, completing a perfect month, if anything, to you and the team?
Well, we never looked at it ahead of time to think, let's have a perfect January or let's be undefeated. It's really more or less just a product of just continuing to take it one day at a time, one moment at a time, just staying focused in our routine, treating every game very, the same, treating them all very important. Not getting complacent with anything, when you look at a schedule the whole way top to bottom, you start looking at, when your travel, when you're going to have, 3 in the road on the road and things like that, and you put it in place for traveling and logistics. But when we get into the season, at least where we're at here with our culture, is that we never focus on what's ahead the next 3 or 4 games. We're just looking at what's next.
Yeah, you can put like a little cover on the schedule and just like the only thing that shows up is that next game.
Yeah, sometimes the assistants have to tell me who we're playing the second part because it's not like the Brooklyn trip where you go and you always play St. Francis.
Yeah, I know. It's changed a little bit this schedule. Like last year, the road trip was Mount St. Mary's and St. Francis, PA, and then this year, obviously this weekend we're at St. Francis with a single game. So.
Right. Yeah. Sometimes the assistants will have to tell me, Coach, we're going here after this game. Coach, we're going here, and I'll say, oh, okay, is that where we're going? So, I never look ahead, and that's what I'm trying to teach our student athletes. It's hard sometimes, curiosity kills the cat, and I just try talking to them about, that next game and not really getting caught up in looking at standings and voted rankings and things like that. It's just, I talk a lot about my friends in Virginia and the men's side, and they're doing something really special there.
They've been awesome this year.
They've been unbelievable. Their defense has been an inspiration.
Just held Clemson to 35, and then knocked off Duke at Cameron Indoor recently.
Yeah, that was a historic win. I saw on the bottom line when I was home relaxing. That it said first time, I think, 2001 since a team beat Duke in Duke. Now when Duke was in the top 5.
Right.
which is pretty amazing. So it just shows you how good of a win that was. But what they're doing out there is something special. And, you know, if they got caught up in, you know, they're number 2 right now, being number 1 and worrying about all that, you know, where's your mind? You know, where are you at? That stuff's all voted on. You know, it really doesn't make a difference in the end of the day when you go out and play the game. You know, concerning yourself with what, you know, people are voting on. That, you know, really it has no bearing on what we're doing. So just, you know, not getting caught up in that, you know, appreciating when we're recognized, but, you know, focusing in on the next game, the next challenge. So, you know, that's really what our mentality has been. And, you know, back to your original question, kind of a long-winded answer, just one moment at a time, coming to practice every day and staying focused on what we got to get better at. You know, our mentality is just to get a little bit better every day. Just get a little bit better. Don't have those days where you feel like you were stagnated or you went down. We stay away from those days. You know, we'll continue to have a good focus going forward. And, you know, sometimes you look back at a month like January and you say, well, you went unbeaten. Well, that's great. You know, how do we do it? By not thinking about it. You know, by just continuing to stay focused on the moment.
I was probably the only one that was thinking about it. But that's my job.
You can, and that's the thing that's great about it, is that everybody has a different mindset and a role, and you do a great job of focusing in on the things that we need to have out there to, you know, to the people that are enjoying following the season. But, you know, on the side of it over here, we got to be in a whole different mindset. So sometimes it's hard for people to understand, you know, about how we are and maybe, you know, just particularly how we are as a program here. But, you know, it's the only way we know how to live. And, you know, we just continue to find the joy in each day and the challenges that are ahead. And there's no misery here. It's just all counted joy, just continuing to, you know, embrace, you know, the next challenge, even if it's tougher than the day before.
All right. One of the biggest bright spots on Monday was Megan Smith's play. She had 22 points on 9 of 10 shooting and 9 rebounds. And since moving to conference play, she's averaging like 12.6 points, 6.6 rebounds, shooting 56.4% from the floor and 50% from 3, and also taking about, you know, 5 charges a game. That number could be, you know, a little.
That stat should be on the box score.
I know, but, you know, I'll talk to stat crew and hopefully we can get that entered as an extra stat. But anyways, you know, it kind of just seems like as the season's gone on, she's gotten better and better, really.
You know, Megan, during her senior year, has to just continue to do what she's been doing, you know, throughout her career. Sometimes when you get into your senior year, you know, you have these self-imposed expectations, or, you know, you have outside influences that, you know, sometimes, you know, put some added pressure onto you as far as, you know, what you should be doing and how great you should be playing. At the end of the day, you know, you just keep staying faithful to what you're doing. You stay faithful to the, you know, to what we do as a team, and you know, not change what you do, but do it better. And she's doing a good job of that now, and I'm proud of her for it. And, you know, last night she had a good game. You know, a lot of people would look at the box score and say, well, she was 9 out of 10. Of course she had a good game. She shot the ball well. She would have had a good game if she didn't shoot the ball so well, just by the poise and in the passion.
I'm gonna say it seemed like she took a lot of leadership in like those huddles out of time or going into timeouts. I could hear from the bench there, you know, just, you know, trying to encourage the girls to, you know, step up a little bit.
Yeah, I'm glad you noticed that. That's something that, you know, means a lot to us as a program, and, you know, not just on the court, like you're saying. She's grabbing huddles at the you know, on the breaks, free throws, the ball goes out of bounds, you know, doing a good job with the huddle there. But then going into timeouts, you know, as we meet at a coaching staff, I'm coming in sometimes and I'll see her grabbing the team and getting after them about some things we got to do better, or telling them, you know, great job, good job, and you know, staying dialed into the team. You know, that's something that's hard for a lot of student athletes sometimes to grasp. You know, they could say that they want to do that, but when they get out there and there's mistakes made and they're not maybe shooting the ball so well and stuff like that, can they stay dialed into the team? That's a hard thing to do, but that's what we challenge ourselves to do. That's our standard, and that will separate, you know, one from the other. If you're able to be that leader when you're shooting the ball well or you're having a good game, and then also when you're not. It's easy. Everyone could do it when they're doing well, but when you're not having your best game, are you still dialed into the team? And that's something I've seen Megan doing a good job consistently on. Last night, obviously, she, you know, it was the whole package. You know, she shot the ball well, she played well, she worked hard, and she was constantly staying dialed into the leadership qualities that we need out of her. So just continuing to just, you know, get a little bit better every day, like we say, and and just continue to stay dialed in and make every decision based on what's best for the team.
Yeah.
You know, and that's what you need out of leadership. If you're going to have a leader, you know, no matter if things are going good for you or bad for you, make those decisions what's best for the team.
Right.
Very easily said.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Hard to do.
Yeah.
She's doing a good job at it.
Sometimes everything's bumping you in the head some days, and it's just real easy to get negative or start to feel bad for yourself or get negative. But I've noticed when our student athletes have moments where they could get that way and they don't.
Right.
And believe me, that's well recognized and talked about. You don't always talk about just the things you got to do better.
Right.
You take in the things you did well and you put it somewhere real big in your heart, and then you move forward to try to honestly improve on the things you got to get better at. So Megan's doing a good job right now of continuing to grow as a leader, and I'm enjoying it.
Yeah. Now, speaking about getting better, that kind of leads me into my next question here. With one full trip through the conference and sitting at 9-0, from the outside eye, people might be looking at the scores and like, oh, they don't really have much to improve on, but I know that you think differently. Is there one area in particular that you think team's kind of been lacking so far?
Well, there's we don't have enough time to go over the things that I see in video every day. I would be saying, we'll have to extend the show another hour.
Yeah.
There's so many things. When games are over, it doesn't take me much time to get to the video and start watching clips and things like that. We have things pretty well organized for to get right in and start watching things and organizing what we got to do better. So there's a lot of things that we could do better. But the one thing that I see that we're continuing to work on and I see such good improvement with is our toughness and our accountability and our passion to go out there and play hard. As long as that's in order, that's really the most important thing is that we're going out there, we're giving it our heart, and we're serving each other. As far as technically and things like that we can do better, limiting our turnovers more. There's last night, as we got down the stretch, we got to do a better job late in the game, especially when we have a lead, where we're trying to make sure we're taking care of the ball, but also continue to be efficient.
Right.
Doing a good job, and I think a lot of that has to do with the younger players growing up as well.
Yeah.
Understanding now that this is the part of the season where if a freshman's had a role of being a main piece.
She's almost not a freshman now.
Yeah, you got to continue now to understand that your minutes are piling up, your experience of being out there is there, and you just got to stay locked into what the coaching staff's telling you to get better at. So things like that, as far as getting better at taking care of the ball in certain situations, and obviously just continuing to get better at being tougher and stronger.
Yeah.
When you come in as a freshman as well, this is all new to you. So I'm always challenging the upperclassmen to continue to guide the freshmen through moment to moment. And the leadership has to be strong. We're doing a good job, and a lot of people would say, you're winning, everything's great, you're winning, and that's great. I love to see us go out there and get wins and continue to battle for those wins. But we're really dialed into no matter win or lose, what we need to do better. And that's I think that's the biggest thing. It's just continuing to grow with that culture of don't get caught up in the hype of just winning games. That's so driven into the society, is that all that matters is you won the game, you got the win, and it's hard for people to understand. They think that that's a phony mentality when you say winning isn't everything.
Right.
We want to make sure that when the game was on the line or the adversity it came, we stuck together. We played hard through those tough times. We continued to battle. And we never got selfish. Fame is fleeting.
Right.
That's something that people have to understand, is that you see a lot of people that sometimes, are celebrated because of success. A success that's easy to see.
Right.
Someone's rich. Someone wins all the time. Someone has 1 million trophies because they always win the championship.
Right.
Kobe Bryant said it best. The moments that he remembered throughout his career wasn't holding up the championship trophies all the time. It was those hard days in the gym of grinding and getting in there and pushing himself when he could have quit. That's what he takes from his career and remembers. And we talk about that a lot, going to bed at night and being at peace with how hard you worked every day, and knowing you're going to get up joyful to come back and do it again. So I would say just continuing to work on that, just continuing to challenge ourselves to be mentally tougher, so that way down the stretch, we've given ourselves the best chance to go out there mentally and to go out there and battle, obviously as it gets later in the season.
Yeah. Now, lastly here, you're back on the road Saturday for a single game, and there's some buzz about it for good reason. Playing St. Francis, PA in a rematch of that thriller on January 13th from Megan Smith's buzzer beater. Last season out in Loretto, it played out kind of similar fashion to what it did at home a couple weeks ago. You were down 9 with like 7 minutes to go in the fourth quarter of that game as well before coming back to win. Can you draw off the previous 2 experiences playing them, and after completing 2 comebacks against them, does that give you a little bit more confidence going into Saturday?
Well, it only should have confidence if you prepare. So what's happened in the past, doesn't ever give me confidence, and it shouldn't give us any confidence. The fact that on another day in the past, we did a good job of battling them, or we continue to fight, doesn't mean that that's going to happen on Saturday. It only means that we've challenged ourselves in the past before, and we've been able to overcome
you gotta
things.
Challenge yourself again.
Yeah. So that's exactly the the mindset has to be now, is don't be overconfident and don't have false confidence. What I'm always teaching the team is that confidence isn't something you could fake. It'll be exposed. If you go out there and fake confidence, it'll be exposed. You could see it all the time. I constantly use analogies.
It's fun.
When we talk to, it's the only way I know how to be. One time I was talking to the team way earlier in the season. I think it might have even been before we were playing any games. I noticed, actually it might have been like beginning of December maybe. I can't remember exactly. It might have been real early in the season. But there was a UFC fight. It was a female fight. There was 2 fighters. One girl I think was from Poland, or she was like the champ. She was unbeaten. Everyone said she was invincible. And she was going against a young lady, I think, from
I don't remember the names, but I believe we did discuss this before.
Yeah. She was from like Minnesota or Wisconsin or something like that, somewhere from the mid-north. And the one opponent from Poland, she was like, intimidating her, staring her down, putting her, putting her glove in her face, giving gestures to her like that she was going to, do something really bad to her. And the other opponent from Minnesota or Wisconsin, or wherever, she was very just very humble and dialed in. And you could see, the one fighter was bleeding that she was confident. She was bleeding confidence. Like, I wasn't worried about it. This is going to be quick work. I'm going to kill. And it was the other way around. And actually, the person that was doing all the talking, all the gesturing, she was tapping out from strikes, which is very unique in that. So you could see how that false confidence was exposed when the moment came and adversity had come. That all false confidence just went out the window, and it was like, what happened? I thought you were so confident. You should only be confident when you put the work in. If you have a good week of practice this week, and you're not worried about so much, doing anything intimidating wise, your talking should come from what you do on the court. Your talking should come from when things get tough, that you stay tough, mentally tough, and you stay with a good mindset. We go in there on Saturday, the best chance we'll have to go out there and win the game is we put a great week of practice in, and we stay dialed into what we're doing. We stay focused. We don't think about anything else but the moment we're in, and that's what'll give us the best chance to go out there and do a great job again, and be in a great frame of mind to go out there and battle on the road. Winning on the road is always tough. But it's only tough because there's more distractions. You've got to be able to stay dialed into what you're doing, no matter where you play the game. And so I'm looking forward to this week and the challenge as a coach to get them ready and to keep them focused on what we got to do to win the game, put this game plan together, and go out there and execute it.
Absolutely. Well, once again, thank you for joining me, and good luck this weekend.
Thanks, Ethan. I appreciate it.
Saturday's game against St. Francis is a 2 p.m. tip. It can be seen on ESPN3.